To Moroney.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Clause 5 of this bill is a very important clause as well, because this is the clause that actually makes effectively null and void the last will and testament of George Parr, who gifted this land to the people of Hamilton, and entirely vests the land now in the or on the date of royal assent, in the ownership, if you like, of the Hamilton City Council. So it's actually a very significant actually, and I'm not sure why the government members. Well, I'm not sure why the government members think that they want to heckle on this bill, and particularly this part. But I do invite Tau Henare to take a call on the. You taking a call, Mr. Henare? Are you taking a call? Oh, well, I'll keep talking then.
Order. It's disorderly for members to have a conversation across the House. Contributions to be addressed to the Chair and the Chair alone. If the member wishes to yield, the member asks to be yield, and the member will yield. That's what the member so wishes. We won't have a conversation. Issues to be addressed to the Chair, and I'm ready, willing and interested to hear what the member has to say.
Thank you, Mr Chair. I'm pleased that the Chair is ready to and interested in what I've got to say, as opposed to the members opposite, who just seem to want to heckle their way through this bill. But I do look forward to their own contribution, Mr Chair. They'll have a chance. They'll have a chance soon. But look, on the vesting of this, the vesting of the Land and Council, this is really an important matter, because what I want to make sure of, and I'd like someone from the Select Committee to actually give me this assurance, that there was an attempt made to find any surviving relatives of George Parr, because what we're effectively doing by this clause, Mr Chair, is actually putting to rest his last will and testament. And I don't want to do that lightly without ensuring that any surviving relatives that he may have had the opportunity to comment on this particular part of the bill. And I'd like to hear from someone who was on the Select Committee about that, because we're really laying to rest now the Parr family's official legal involvement with this very important piece of land that, as we've already heard, is so important to the history of Hamilton. So George Parr, whose last will and testament we're about to depart from this piece of land by this clause, was an old and highly respected resident of Hamilton. And he was he was actually 60 years of age when he gifted this land to Hamilton. And yet, even though he was 60, he obviously wrote into his last will and testament about what he wanted the use of this land to be for. And the use that he wanted for the land was for children. Was actually for children. And I know that the members opposite can't understand why someone would be so interested in looking after children first and foremost. Because that government over there, of course, is showing its colours, absolutely showing its colours of its disinterest in children, and they continue to do that by their interjections to my contribution on this bill, because they don't want to hear about George Parr. They don't want to know about this man who actually did put children at the heart of what he was doing. But I'll tell you the other reason why they don't want to hear about George Parr, because George Parr was a visionary. He showed the sort of leadership that party could never imagine showing. Because when he was alive, he was an enthusiast and an advocate for passenger train services in the Waikato. He was a visionary. And I want to pick up that mantle, because I am the only Hamilton-based MP who is prepared to go out and advocate for a passenger train service between Hamilton and Auckland. I'm the only Hamilton-based MP who will advocate for that. No, David Bennett, he's even on the worst end of the spectrum. He actively opposes this passenger train service between Hamilton and Auckland. Now, I think George Parr would wonder what on earth had become of representation and leadership in Hamilton. because the two local MPs are just nowhere to be seen on getting passenger train services established between Hamilton and Auckland. And for the people of Hamilton, it's just an absolute no-brainer that we've got this track. There's 121 kilometres between Hamilton and Auckland. We own at the moment, maybe not after the next term if this government gets back in, but at the moment we own the train service and they won't do it.
I call Ian